It's January 9th and I'm having a hard time with my resolutions. I'm on the struggle bus. So my goal in 2019 was to start posting weekly YouTube videos. Ow, fudge. Just like nothing. Nothing's working right. And this is the best I can do right now. Whew. And so I'm going with it. I think the message of this overextended introduction is that sometimes done is better than perfect. Okay, so 80% of New Year's resolutions fail by the first week of February. Obviously, I understand. It's really exciting to set those goals, but then life happens, things take longer than expected, obstacles arise. How do you actually stick with your goals? I'm gonna talk about some of the strategies I've used with my money goals, because that's actually one part of my life where I'm actually pretty good about achieving my goals. The rest, like, I don't know. YouTube. We'll see where I am at the end of the year. So I want to share with you 7 strategies for setting better money goals this year and beyond. Hey everyone, this is Stephanie and I am talking today about money goals. I hear a lot of people say things like I want to save more money, or I want to make more money, or I want to pay down my debt, or all of those things. And those are all really wonderful sentiments, but they're not great goals. Goals need to be specific to be effective. It's a great feeling to be like, I want to save more money, but what does that actually mean? How much are you gonna save? When are you gonna save it? How often? Where specifically are you going to find those savings in your spending plan? These are all the kinds of things that you need to identify if you're gonna have a little bit more success with your savings goal. Number 1 is to get really specific with your goals. So let's say your goal is to save another $6,000 in your emergency fund by the end of the year. Now that's a really great goal because it's a specific number and it has a specific date. The other great thing about that goal is that you can break it down really tangibly. 6,000 divided by 12 is $500 a month. Maybe you need to break that number down even further. A weekly amount, 4 weeks in a month, $125 a week that you need to save. Maybe you break that down on a daily basis. So 6,000 divided by, let's get the calculator out here. 6,000 divided by 365. So that's like $16.44 a day. So break that down for yourself on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, whatever works for you. That's kind of the level of specificity that you want to achieve for every single one of your goals. And by doing this really specifically with all your goals, you'll start to get a sense of how realistic those goals are and whether you need to make adjustments. And then start to figure out where in your current cash flow is that savings going to come from, or is that debt payoff going to come from, or is that investing goal going to come from. If you can get even more specific by saying, okay, I'm gonna find an extra $500 a month in my budget by picking up 2 extra weekends of overtime at work, then that is even more specific. That is even better. Or maybe instead of trying to earn the extra money, you try to save the extra money. So maybe you go through your expenses and you find places to cut back where you're not really feeling like you get the most bang for your buck. Whatever it is, it's all up to you, right? You have to do these things around your priorities. You can combine these strategies together. If you can make an extra $100 here, if you can save an extra $200 there, if you can renegotiate something to save another $200 there, then together you're finding that savings you need to eventually reach your year-end savings goals. It's that level of specificity that's really going to help you. The second thing you can do to really drive that strategy home is to write down those specific goals. If you can attach dates to your goals, if you can attach numbers to your goals, if you can make them micro goals, and then if you can write them all down and track them somewhere, that's going to help a lot in terms of following through with those money goals. I like to get super nerdy. I use spreadsheets to map them all. Which brings me to my second tip. We talked about getting specific with the what of your money goals, but it's also really important to get specific with the why of your money goals. Everybody wants more money, but in and of itself, more money isn't as compelling as what that money affords you. Maybe having that extra $6,000 in your emergency fund is going to enable you to walk away from a bad work situation or a bad living situation. Or maybe that's going to give you the peace of mind you need to start the business you've always wanted to start. So you want to get really clear on not just the what of the savings goal, but the why of the savings goal. One of the things I like to do is to create visual reminders of my goals that I see in my daily life. This could be a desktop background, it could be a picture on my bulletin board, it can be a picture I print out and I put in my wallet next to my credit cards and my cash, so that every time I go to take out money, I also see a picture of what it is I'm really working toward, so that those things don't just go out of mind just because they're out of sight. And then you can make those decisions more consciously in the day-to-day so that they align better with your big picture priorities. Third strategy is to set up systems that ensure your success. One of the reasons I think goals fail a lot is because we rely on our own willpower. If you're anything like me, you have a very limited amount of willpower. When you're coming to a new goal that you haven't mastered yet, there's generally not a lot of willpower built up around that yet. And so relying on that willpower alone for success is really dangerous. It's probably not going to happen. So you have to set up systems that are going to help you ensure your success. For me, with my health habits, one of the systems I use is that I just don't keep anything in my house that's unhealthy. If I do want something that's unhealthy, it's a real effort for me to go out, go to the store, buy it, and indulge. Creating that distance between myself and that thing that's like the unhealthy behavior I'm trying to avoid is enough for me to not indulge in it as often as I otherwise might. With my money, I can do the same thing. I keep my savings for various goals in different savings accounts, and I don't keep them at the same bank as my checking account. And because it takes like 2 to 3 business days to transfer money from my savings account to my checking account, it means I'm much less likely to dip into my savings and exceed the amount I've already allotted for spending for the month that's in my checking account. So creating that system that helps enforce the behavior I'm trying to do better with is a really great way to make sure I'm sticking with those savings goals. So another system that can be really helpful is automation. If you get a regular paycheck, for example, you can set up an automatic transfer to go from your checking account where that paycheck gets deposited to your savings account immediately after that paycheck lands in your account each week. So if you get paid on Thursday, for example, if that's when your direct deposit hits, then you can set up an automatic transfer from your checking account to your savings account for every Friday. So that savings transfer is happening automatically for you, and it's more work for you to reverse that transfer than it is for you to make the transfer in the first place. You want to make the automatic processes be the things that serve your goals, and you want to make the things that require more effort be the things where you're taking away from your goals. So number 3 is really just don't rely on your willpower alone. Set up systems that will help enable your success. The great thing about systems is that you can set them and forget them. It might take a little bit of effort to set up the first time, but then those systems are going to continue to serve you over and over again. If a system isn't working, you can always come back and adjust it later on. Number 4 is to create systems of accountability. This can be anything from writing down your goal, using apps to track your goal progress, to sharing your goal with other people. Better yet, do all of those things, because those add extra layers of accountability, making it more likely that you're gonna follow through with your goals. So some stats. The American Society of Training and Development did a study on accountability and found that you have a 65% chance of completing a goal if you commit to someone. If you have a specific accountability appointment with a person, you will increase your chance of success by up to 95%. I have an accountability group that I meet with once a week online. We stay accountable to each other in our business, but there's no reason that you can't do that with any goal. So if you can set up systems of accountability both to yourself and to others, then you can increase your chances of follow through. Tip number 5 is to choose a focus. There are 20 things minimum I want to do better every single year, but I found that if I actually want to be successful and achieve any of those goals, I need to drill down that list to just a few top priorities. New habits like filming, I need a lot of time and effort and energy to get into. I mean, I spent like 3 hours getting this set up today. New habits you create are gonna require an outsized effort, and they're going to require an outsized demand on your time and your energy in a way that the habits you've already mastered might not. It doesn't mean that you're never going to get around to accomplishing your list of 20 goals. It just means prioritizing a few at a time. Another way you can do this is to focus on different goals in different quarters or in different seasons. So for the winter, for example, maybe your focus is on improving your credit. And in the spring, maybe your focus is on creating better saving systems. Take on maybe one thing at a time. The time's gonna fly anyway, so don't stress out that you're not making progress on all goals at all the times, because that doesn't happen anyway. Tip number 6 is to break down your goals. It's really hard to stay motivated when you don't see yourself making progress. But if you take those big goals and you break them down into little mini micro goals, whether it's a daily savings target or a weekly debt payoff target, those are wins you can celebrate every day, every week, every month to keep you motivated and on track to achieving that resolution for the end of the year. So set yourself up for both small and big wins and have them frequently so that you can see and celebrate your progress along the way. Tip number 7, focus on habits, not on outcomes. This is not to negate everything I said about getting specific. The reality is that a lot of the time things are beyond our control. So for example, for me, I sometimes will set really specific income targets, but because I own a business and because I work freelance for a lot of people, I can't really control all of the factors that go into how much money I make. Sometimes I get the contract, sometimes I don't. Sometimes people pay on time, sometimes people don't. So instead of getting really caught up in the fact that I'm like not hitting a benchmark, one thing that I find is really helpful is focusing on what I can control. And what I can control are the habits behind the outcomes I want to achieve. What do I mean by that? Well, for example, if my goal is to hit a certain income amount, that means I need to secure a certain amount of client work. I can't necessarily guarantee I'm going to secure that client work. But what I can do is send enough pitches and proposals that I'm increasing the likelihood of getting enough client work to meet my benchmarks. So instead of just focusing on the outcome of hitting a certain monthly income target, which is still helpful to have, what I really want to start focusing on is the habits that are going to enable me to reach that target. I want to focus on those elements that I can control and put my time and energy and effort to making those outcomes as likely as possible with the habits that I know are going to help me achieve it. I have used these strategies for my money and they've changed my financial life completely. The reason that is so powerful is because by changing my financial life, I've been able to build the rest of my life out the way I want. So that's what this is really all about too. And I think that's important to remember when we're talking about money goals and money in general. And it comes back to that why that we talked about earlier. It's not about the money itself, it's about what the money affords you. So those are my 7 strategies for setting and getting your money goals this year. If you have a strategy that I didn't talk about and you find has been really helpful for helping you get your money goals, please share it in the comments below and let me know. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed the video, if you got something useful out of it, I hope you'll hit that thumbs up button. I hope you'll share it with someone. Subscribe for more videos. I will hopefully be back because one of my resolutions in 2019 is to be showing up here every single week. I'm like scared to say it because how hard this has been. But what did I say? You gotta be accountable. I'm gonna say it and hopefully stick to it that we are gonna be here every single week this year coming to you with new videos. Hopefully I can stick to that. Okay, you guys, I'll catch you next week. Fingers crossed. I'll see you then.